everybody. Welcome. Today is Wednesday. It is December 16th. Can you believe it? December? I can't believe it. And here we are at the Daily Dharma Gathering. Again, we are joined by Thubten Chunyi, who is a Buddhist nun and has actually been since 1996. And I'm cheating. I'm looking at her bio here, which you can read underneath our the video. But she's been studying since 1996 and was ordained in 2007. So we are very fortunate to have her here tonight because I always find her her teachings very sort of down to earth and illuminating for me anyway. And so I'm pretty grateful to be here. So just for any of you that are new, I want to remind you that you can ask questions during the session. There's a comment box underneath the video. Just type your question in there and click post comment. And then I read them to Chunyi, and we usually get some pretty good discussions going. So with that, let me go ahead and turn it over to you, Chunyi. And she'll be talking about karma is definite.
Thanks, Rebecca. And good evening to everyone who's here. I'm tickled to be speaking about karma. It's one of my favorite topics. And I imagine that here we are halfway through the month. Karma has been the topic for the month. And so some of you might be quite familiar with definitions and stuff. But in case there's somebody who's here for the first time tonight, I want to start with that. And then I want to do quite a, maybe a longer meditation than usual on rejoicing in our wholesome actions. But first, let's start with a little meditation. So get in the posture that works best for you. So I'm in a chair, so feet flat on the floor, being aware of the contact with your body with the chair or the cushion if you're on a cushion. Principally, keeping your spine straight. By straightening your spine, you straighten your mind. So just be aware of being in the space, the contact with the chair. Notice any sight, sound, sense in the room. In a blurred kind of way, just being aware of your body in the space, but not tuning into any particular sense detail. Lower your eyelids just a little, but let some light in if you can. And bring your attention to your breathing for just a moment. Noticing the in-breath, the out-breath. Noticing the sensation of breathing. Notice how deep or shallow your breath is. Not without any judgment, just observing. Being friends with your breath for a few minutes. And get in touch with our aspirations for being on this meditation session with this worldwide community tonight. Perhaps we're coming with a wish to connect, a wish to find a little peace in our own minds. And let's expand that motivation. Realizing that as we connect here with ourselves and then online with others, with a genuine wish to cultivate our good qualities, this has an effect, a positive, wholesome effect in the world. So think about all those people that you can bring to mind that don't have peace of mind in this moment. And think about the condition of sentient beings in general. And with a wish to have a positive effect on their lives too. Let's gather here with the motivation to bring greater happiness to all beings, including ourselves, and to cultivate all good qualities so that we can really be of benefit to others. Okay. Helps to settle down a little, huh? So karma. Karma means action. You probably have heard this a few times since the beginning of this month. And when the Buddha was becoming awakened, when he was sitting under that Bodhi tree and coming into that state of complete omniscience and understanding, one of the things that he saw as he was becoming awakened was that our situation in cyclic existence is not so great. Generally speaking, it's not that everything is suffering per se, but that but it's pretty unsatisfactory in terms of the fact that we continually meet with problems, whether we want them or not. And even though we find happiness, it comes and goes really fast. In fact, the harder we try to hang on to it, the more it seems to go through our fingers like sand, or even not even that solid, like soap bubbles going through our hands, that kind of happiness. And so out of his great compassion, a part of what he showed us was, well, look, all of our suffering, our most gross, painful, physical, mental suffering, as well as even the finest, most delicate dissatisfaction in our mind, all of that has causes. And principally, the causes that we're caught under are the results of our karma, our actions, and then all of our disturbing mind states that bring those about. So everything that we do under the influence of our ignorance, our craving, our attachment, our anger, jealousy, doubt, our pride, all of those things that take over the mind, propel us to do things that causes difficulty. And so this teaching on karma is actually extremely profound in helping us take responsibility to start creating more and more causes for happiness in our life. So that's what I wanted to get to tonight. So as we said, karma means action. And the idea is that every action of body, speech, and strong actions of mind plant like a little energy trace in our mind streams that stay with us. And when the conditions are right, when all the things come together for like this little seed, we could call it metaphorically, to burst forth and ripen, when all the water, all the nutrients, all the heat, boom, our karma ripens. And the result of that could either, and so it's either our virtuous or happy results or our unhappy results. Either one is a result of our past actions. It's the law of cause and result. So when we know this, then we can start paying attention to, well, what kind of causes am I creating? And we can be very deliberate about the kinds of causes that we create. So there are 4 properties of karma which are important. So the first one is the title of this talk. Karma is definite. What does that mean? Karma is definite in that wholesome actions definitely ripen in pleasant and happy experiences. Unwholesome actions definitely ripen in unpleasant two painful experiences. That's quite direct. The second quality is that karma is expanding, and that means a small seed can grow into a big result. And they always cite the example of like a small seed can grow into a big tree. So karma can have, an action can have a big result, even if it's quite small. The third is that if you don't create the cause, you don't get a result. You'd think this is self-evident, but it's really about, we can spend a lot of time praying for something good to happen, but if we haven't created the cause for it, that prayer is probably not going to be enough to make that happen. The fourth property that's important to know about is if we do create the cause, it's never lost. It may take a long time for that result to ripen, but it never goes away. Except with the case of virtuous karma, we can destroy the seed by the power of our anger or our really distorted views. In the case of our non-virtuous or unwholesome actions, we can mitigate the result through purification practices. And next week, I'm on for next Wednesday, I'd like to do some purification practice meditation with us because we all have things we regret. And the Buddha was very kind in giving us ways to transform our minds, to really kind of help relieve that. So it's important, I think really important for us Westerners raised in a culture where reward and punishment is a really part of our paradigm. To get that, karma is not about reward and punishment. There's no, from the Buddhist point of view, there's no kind of grand jury in the sky, grand jury in your head, grand jury in heaven, grand jury anywhere saying you are guilty and you are rewarded. It's none of that kind of thinking. It's simply a cause and result. It's quite scientific in a way. You put a seed in the ground, the sun is there, the temperature is warm enough, you put a little water, the seed grows. You put in a carrot seed, you do not grow a potato. You put a potato in the ground, you don't get a carrot. It's as simple in some ways as that aspect of it. Now, the complexities of karma, they say, are so complex that only a really enlightened being can give you the minute details of how come this happened and that happened and that happened and that happened. But very generally, this thing that karma is definite in that wholesome actions bring happiness, unwholesome actions bring difficulties, suffering, pain, or even discomfort. Even something as mild as that. If I have an unpleasant feeling, it is a result of a past negative action. This is liberating, totally, because then we don't have anybody to blame anymore. And then we can say to ourselves, wow, if happiness comes from virtuous and wholesome actions, then I can be doing that really intentionally. So we're already doing virtuous actions and wholesome actions every day, and we're not doing it so consciously. But it's okay to use this, to be intentional about creating greater happiness for ourselves. And guess what? Everybody else benefits too. So it's a win-win situation, completely. So I wanted to do some meditation tonight on the 10 virtuous actions. Okay? So one of the things the Buddha taught also, right off the bat, he said, okay, if you want to begin to take responsibility and change your own mind, change your experience to have greater happiness, then number one, restrain from these 10 things. Refrain from doing these actions. Killing, stealing, taking what hasn't been freely given, engaging in sexual misconduct or unwise sexual behavior that harms people. Those are 3 of body. Also, refrain from lying, from divisive speech, So speaking badly in a way that people start thinking badly about each other. Refrain from harsh speech, words that hurt people, whether they're done in angry, loud voices or sweet, kind, those sort of sarcastic, sweet voices, regardless of the tone, if they harm people intentionally, if you have that intent, then that's also one of those things to restrain yourself from. And then the fourth one of speech is idle talk, which is just blah, 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 for no reason except to hear ourselves talk. And then there are three mental ones. One is strong covetousness, like really craving something somebody else has, and planning to get it. And it can be a craving shopping mind as much as a craving, craving your neighbor's something. The second one is ill will or malicious mind that really just goes round and round and round about how much we want to get back at somebody who's harmed us. And then the third mental one is really going after wrong views, like really, adamantly saying, I don't believe that people are basically good, for example, or I don't believe in this karma business. My actions don't have any ethical result. I mean, those kinds of thinking can be quite harmful. It's not to say that you have to say, oh yeah, I believe in karma and therefore I'm good. It's not that. But if we're open to the possibility, open-minded to the possibility that this might be an explanation of how things work, more like that. So it's the stubborn wrong view that, well, kind of a nihilistic view that gets us in trouble. The 10 virtuous actions are the opposite of those. So
it looks like we've lost Chunyi. Let's give her a minute to call back in. Give us a chance to practice some patience, right? So hang tight. And I'm just going to try and send her the link again.
You back?
You are back. Welcome back. It was just
good. That was quick.
Link again.
There was an authentication issue, I heard.
Oh, well, all right then.
Yeah. Well, let's get right onto it because I want to get to the meditation.
Okay.
Because it's the virtuous or wholesome actions come when we restrain from doing any of these 10 non-virtues. So anytime that you're not killing is virtuous. Anytime that you're not using harsh speech, that's also, when you have an opportunity to and don't, that's a wholesome action. And further, when you do the opposite, that's also a wholesome action. So, for example, when we're in a situation where we're really protecting life, whether you fish a bug out of the toilet so it doesn't drown, or whether you happen to be there and save somebody from drowning in the ocean, something as small to as big as that, all of these are wholesome actions. And we do them. So I want to spend some time rejoicing in our wholesomeness, to really acknowledge that we are creating great causes for future happiness. I also want to begin that by saying simply having a human life in which we have the opportunity to come together, like in the Dharma Daily Gathering, this is a ripening of our virtuous, wholesome actions in the past. Good comes from good. I think there's a song in The Sound of Music that says something like that. Nothing comes from nothing, nothing ever could. So sometime in my youth or childhood, I must have done something good. Here we are. As a result of something good. So take a moment, get back in your meditation posture. I'm going to go through these 10, and we're going to just do a little life review and do some rejoicing. Okay? Okay. So feet flat, back straight. Settle into your breath for a moment. Now bring to mind a time, any time in your life, when you had the opportunity to either had the opportunity to take the life of another being and didn't, and or an opportunity to actually save a life or care for a life in a certain kind of in a life-giving way. Could be a very small thing, could be a very big thing in your life. But whenever it comes to mind, rejoice. Wow, that was a wholesome action. I'm rejoicing in that virtue. Then bring to mind a chance that you might have had in your life to steal, to take something that wasn't given and you chose not to. That could mean somebody gave you too much change and you gave it back. It could mean having a real opportunity to take something big and you decided not to. And it could also mean taking care of someone else's property in a really caring way. And when that situation comes to mind, rejoice in your wholesome action. And then we can bring to mind a situation where we used our sexuality wisely and kindly. So maybe you were extremely attracted to someone, but because you were already in a relationship, you chose not to follow it. Maybe you knew someone was really was very attracted to you, and yet not to hurt them, you just didn't let that blossom into something, or you didn't lead them on some way that we were very kind and caring about our sexuality. And rejoice in that as a virtuous action. And then we'll go to the virtuous actions of speech. Situations in which, I'm going to do a couple of them together, where you would have told the truth when you had an opportunity not to. And also where you had the opportunity to speak in a way that really brought people together, reconciled them as opposed to divided them. That your words were healing and brought about harmony. And rejoice in those two virtuous actions of speech. Bring to mind a situation in which you had the opportunity to speak harshly and didn't. Or and an opportunity you had and have to offer encouraging words, support, kindness, a smile, and rejoice in the virtue of these two kinds of virtuous actions of speech. And finally, recall a conversation that was just a lot of blah, blah, or maybe kind of diverting into gossip about someone when you stepped in and actually turned it into a meaningful conversation. The opposite of idle talk, actually having a meaningful, caring connection with people with your speech. And rejoice in the virtuous actions. So we'll stop with these first 7 of body and speech. They're the most gross ones anyway. But this is a meditation that's really beneficial to do, especially when you start to get a little bit down about, oh, my practice doesn't do much, or la da da da, to really begin to think about all the virtuous actions that we've done, to rejoice in those, and rejoicing actually makes the karma of it even stronger. And this also helps us to get more intentional about doing even a small virtuous action has a happy result. So I'm encouraging people to really notice that. See if there's questions.
Okay, I just want to remind everyone that to type your questions in the comment box, and I will check for them right now. And I am not seeing any questions just yet.
Okay.
And I want to encourage everyone, ask questions, don't be shy. So while we're seeing if any questions come through, I just want to say thank you. That was nice. That was really nice.
Yeah, it's good. You know, often when we talk about karma, we talk a lot about negative karma. And that's serious business. It's something to think about. Virtuous karma needs equal time because we can make choices to create the very actions that bring about happiness. And it helps us turn our minds, I think. When you can feel your mind starting to get slippy and going in a negative way, thinking like, whoa, what kind of cause do I want to create with this mind I have? I don't want to go into that rotten place. I don't want to be speaking out of anger or jealousy or whatever. Not just because it hurts somebody else, which is true, but really because it hurts me. I'm going to experience a result from this. So it's very loving, caring for ourselves when we're intentionally developing our virtuous karma.
It was a good reminder.
Yeah.
And actually,
do I have a minute? I want to add a PS.
Yes, add a PS.
It's important that this is about intention, especially with speech. You know, sometimes we may have a very good intention and people will hear it and interpret it in a different way and get hurt or feel something. It's important for us to know that our intention was good, our action was wholesome. It's not, maybe they hurt, maybe they misunderstood. That's not our, quote, fault. So intention is a big piece in that. Good.
Thank you, Ginny.
Yeah.
I do have 2 comments here that I'd like to share.
Okay.
Sandy says, wonderful talk, thank you. Janet says she really enjoyed this and will try to bring it into her practice. Thank you, Chun-Yi.
Yeah, very nice. So next week, purification.
I look forward to it, and I know probably everyone else does too. So thank you again for your teaching.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Good night, all.